Yo, are you ready to talk about sex and astrology? Taurus rising sign style? Oh, yeah. The energy, 5th, 8th, 12th house, and Valentine's Day 2026, Taurus. How are you going to get your Venus going? Let's talk about it. Pew! Hey everybody, what's up? It's Eric Taylor back with my Sex and Astrology series that I told you I would be starting, and starting with the rising signs. And first I'll be looking at, in this video, Taurus rising, but looking at the 5th house of dating, romance, fun, sex, the 8th house of sex, intimacy, more private and usually after the marriage, but then also the 12th house of bed pleasures and literally sex, right, in the bedroom, okay? And then we'll kind of break down, looking at the chart of Valentine's Day for Taurus risings, how Valentine's Day energy may play out for you through the lens of these houses and talking about sex, all right? So in this series later on, not separate from this one, I'll be looking at the specific planets. I'm not focusing on the planets for this one, just the house energy and the sign. And then obviously when I start doing readings, it'll be personal to you and your chart. And I'll be announcing my sex and astrology reading service soon, okay? So you could definitely reach out and look out for that. Eric at BigEAstrology.com. And eventually when I get the website up and going, maybe in February of 2026, that will be straightened up. And but I really hope that in this series I can teach you guys about sex and astrology, and also learn as you guys share different insights and some personal experiences for those who are open and are willing to volunteer information. You know, as I shared on my podcast, you know, the only way you really learn specifically is by people's personal experiences in those situations, which is extremely fascinating. So you could always hit me up, Eric at BigEAstrology.com, especially if you've got certain planets like Venus, Mars, Black Moon, Lilith, Pluto in the 5th, 8th, or 12th house. Do tell, share. All right, Taurus risings, let's bring up the chart and talk about sex and astrology, and also maybe some sex for Valentine's Day for you Venus goddesses and gods. Taurus rising. Okay, 2026. See how your Valentine's gets down. And you don't need Valentine's Day to, you know, have great sex or, you know, love or your relationship. But just wanted to, you know, tune in for that energy, because there may be a lot of Taurus risings watching who are single and are looking for connection. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, let's check out the chart for Taurus risings and sex and astrology. Pew. All right, Taurus rising. So this is your ascendant. This is the chart for Valentine's Day. We'll get into that a little bit later. But first, we just want to look at, you know, the energy for Taurus rising. And obviously, your chart ruler is always going to be important. So wherever you find your Venus, that tells you where major themes in life will, you know, play out for you. And as a Taurus rising, and even on, as we switch on Valentine's Day, Venus will just barely enter and will enter Pisces. Okay, so we'll talk about that when we get to the Valentine's Day energy, but that's something that you always want to locate when you're looking at your chart. So for Taurus risings, right, Venus is your chart ruler. It's also your love language. So these are very people who are connected to their senses. So remember, the 1st house is your physical appearance, your outer mask, your aura, how others see you. So they can be more voluptuous or just very sensual people. And sensual is not always sexual. Tauruses and the Taurus energy, whether you're sun, moon, or rising, is actually very spiritual, and people don't realize this. But they're in touch with their 5 senses. So that's sensuality too. Okay, so we look at 5th house for dating, romance, fun, sex, and we have Virgo, the Mercury. So, one, you can be a little nitpicky, Taurus risings, in dating and romance and fun sex, and maybe sometimes overly critical of yourself, overthinking things, critical of your partner. So, just be mindful of that because with the Virgo there, now you could literally date a Virgo Sun Moon rising and have good sex with a Virgo rising or a Sun, right? But what's important for you, Taurus risings, is that you are in service to your partner, to who you're dating. And it's a man or a woman. It's not like women have to just be in service to men. Men, we got to be in service to the ladies, okay? In multiple ways. But that fifth house, there's definitely this physical reality thing for dating. So, giving insights and tips, fixing things for them, or, helping them with certain things, doing activities like, this is dating, romance, fun, sex. So going to concerts and shows. Taurus risings love that, right? Enjoying entertainment, plays, the theater, right? Going out and doing paintings or sculpting or, anything like that. So just remember with the Virgo in the fifth house for you, Taurus risings, not to be overly critical of your partner and nitpicky, or of yourself, but to, the Virgo is the weed in the medicine, the virgin, and they're sure not virgins. So this is definitely an interesting placement for you guys, and you can definitely connect with literally a Virgo Sun Moon rising. Now, Scorpio is the seventh house, but we're not really focused on that. That's long-term relationships, commitment, and marriage. So you can definitely be attracted to a Scorpio. Okay, that's just right off the bat. But we're looking at the eighth house because we're just talking about sex. So the eighth house is sex, abuse, power, control, intimacy. It's usually after the marriage. Now, this is the average position of Lilith. It's not the true Black Moon Lilith, but we're just looking at the chart, empty. We're not really focused on anything in here. But having Sagittarius in the eighth house for Taurus risings, Sagittarius Sun Moon rising can be very sexually attracted to you. Now, this is the Bachelor Bachelorette sign. So even in a marriage, Taurus risings, they need freedom. They need adventure. Right? And they need to move their hips and thighs, right? Especially for sex, right? So that's an important energy. And Sagittarius and Scorpio can both be very sexual energies and people, so they both would be in my top five, right? I tell you, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, Sag, Virgo, probably the top five, I would put in for just that sexual appetite or hunger. I'm not saying that others don't. Libra, Aquarius, you guys are up there too. All the signs. But Sagittarius in the eighth house, there is seeking that connection and that truth. Now, remember, it's the Bachelor Bachelorette sign. So that can also, confuse things a little bit in terms of the commitment. But just remember, Taurus rising, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon risings can be very into you. Doesn't mean they're good for you though. Okay. So that's a whole nother conversation. But, maybe sexually, I don't know. But now when we're looking at the 12th house, we've got Aries. So what's interesting here, you can be very quick to fall asleep, right? I tease my wife's like a sleep bully, but Aries here in the 12th house, there is this immature, quick, childlike, not like the wham bam thank you ma'am, but they definitely, they can initiate, or sometimes they, can be, somewhat adventurous or thinking outside the box, pioneer, maverick, but they can be very childlike sometimes. So in that way, they might not initiate sexually. So don't get caught up just saying Aries in the 12th house. Oh, they're going to be assertive and aggressive in the bedroom. Not necessarily. It just depends on their sexual experience, and you'd have to see their chart. And, even if they went through traumas or different things. But Aries in the 12th house, it is like, it's a fire sign. So they could be hot and, they could be ready to go whenever and say yes. So that's something to consider when you're talking about that in terms of the bedroom for the 12th house for the Taurus risings with the Aries there, okay? So now what we're going to do is look at Valentine's Day in particular. all right, for 2026. Because that's a different story. Because now we're actually looking at this chart and looking at the planetary placements, all right? So, yeah, Uranus is still there on the ascendant. So, you could definitely be thinking outside the box and be weird and innovative and get a lot of downloads. When we're looking at the fifth house, there can be, for you, Taurus risings, on that Valentine's Day, somebody, if you're single, somebody can come up from your past because we have the Virgo South Node here, right, in terms of dating, romance, fun, sex. But even let's say if you're in a committed relationship or marriage, you definitely can maybe do some things from your past. Like, you used to do this for date night, or you would always, go here and have chocolate and do that. Sorry, I had to take a little sip of my tea. So those sort of things can come up with the South Node here. I would also say that you could definitely be looking for a spiritual Valentine's Day, a spiritual date night, doing something that's fun and romantic, okay? Not just things from the past, but something that maybe is a little nostalgic that like warms your heart. Okay, so try to, bring in that romance. That'll be good for Taurus risings, whether you initiate it or your partner does. This could be good even for like a nice spiritual massage. All right. When we look at the eighth house of Sagittarius, you got Angel there, the average position of Lilith. So there could be some, adventure or some passion, maybe some spiritual sex. Okay. The moon being in Capricorn, that's, I would say definitely spending some time out in nature during the day could be part of the romance. It is a Saturday, so you're off from work, hopefully. It is Aquarius season, and you got the Mars in the 10th house. Hopefully you're not just having sex outside in the car or in the park. But honestly, when we're looking at the 12th house for you, we got Saturn and Neptune here, right? And Ceres, how you want to be nurtured and cared for. So wearing red lingerie, ladies, that could be nice. Red, orange, yellow, okay? But the Neptune, Saturn, there's like having healthy boundaries. Saturn could bring in some bondage. So, maybe play a little game, get tied up or something. The Neptune, it could be very spiritual and sensual and very spiritual music, right? Nice sounds and frequencies and things like that. But just even it could just be some, Miguel, some Alicia Keys, some, Maxwell, some guy, whatever it is, right? But the Saturn Neptune, you want to have boundaries. So definitely, nice Aries there, 101. Now, Aries is in its fall in Saturn. So if there are any obstacles, don't give up. Just push through and then you'll be rewarded, right? So let's say there's a hiccup and she's not turned on or he's not turned on. Don't stop. Keep going. Okay? And then it will be magical and spiritual. So that's where you could do like a sensual oil or rub or something like that, a massage. Okay? Now, remember, I was going to just say, because this Venus is your love language in Pisces, so it's pure love. All right. And this could be someone who's single, meeting somebody over the internet, going for a date night, or a friend that turns into a relationship. But I would say either way, Valentine's Day looks like it'll be very nice for you. And more on the spiritual side. I think that's going to be a good way looking at the fifth and the 12th house in terms of a connection. And then with Venus being in Pisces, that's compassion, empathy, grace, and mercy. So have that book of Ephesians type love, and hopefully you have a romantic and safe and wonderful Valentine's Day. All right. So that's the energy for Taurus risings in general with sex, and then also on that man-made holiday. Like I tell you, we don't have to follow these holidays, but since the collective, is aware of it and people still can't help it and still follow it, I figured I would give you some insights to make it positive and successful for you. All right, Taurus risings. Hope this helps you with your sex and astrology. Peace. All right, Taurus risings. I hope this helps you with, looking at sex and astrology. The fifth house is Virgo, the eight of dating, romance, fun, sex. But date nights, going out, doing things, Virgo, that can help you like plan well, be on time, be detailed and precise, even with your massage and kissing. The eighth house Sagittarius is a little, Don Juan, Don Juanita. Remember, Sag, Sun, Moon, Rising could be physically or sexually attracted to you, Taurus Risings, no matter what your sun sign is. And then the 12th house, Aries. Don't fall asleep too fast. Don't fall asleep on your partner. But, that is definitely where sometimes you could be a little immature, but you could be very passionate. And maybe, you don't want some long 10-hour marathon. You just give me a nice 15, 20 minutes. I'm just saying, but obviously, and then Valentine's Day, Venus in Pisces, the moon in Capricorn, 8th house, the south node in the 5th house, something from the past or potentially a partner from the past can come up. And then the Saturn and Neptune in the 8th house, you definitely want to have boundaries. You can get into some role play and fantasy. Neptune is very much that for Valentine's Day. But I just hope you have a safe and fun Valentine's Day. And just remember with the Neptune, music in the bedroom. That's going to help. All right, Taurus Risings? So I hope this helps you, and also hope it helps you for Valentine's Day 2026. But the first part of the video, you can watch that forever because it's just talking about the 5th, 8th, and 12th house in general for you, sex and astrology. And like I said, I'll be creating a service because you could be a Taurus Rising, but we got to look at your personal placements. Where's your Venus, your Mars, your Black Moon, Lilith, your Pluto, your Moon? That's going to tell us a lot, okay? So this was fun. Hopefully it's helpful. And we'll be continuing this series and talking more about sex and astrology. Taurus Risings. Sensuality. That's your ticket. All right? Smell goods. Don't forget that. BigEAstro. Pew.